Hey guys, welcome back to StatChat Sports. We're back with another Premier League podcast. I've got Taylor on the line as always. Taylor, a little bit of maybe a different episode today because there's not a lot of Premier League action since we last spoke.
Yeah, look, we'll touch on the relegation battle, the fight for the top four, and we'll probably look a bit deeper into the Champions League today. See where we maybe see some of those ties going.
It's becoming a bit towards the pointy end of those of that competition. So yeah, we'll definitely have a look into that. But to start off with, we always look at the title race. There was two big games played since last time we spoke. Man City played at Palace, excuse me. And then later on in the week, Arsenal played at Liverpool. We'll go to City first because they were played first. That little run against Palace continues for them. As Liverpool's fans, we'll take the draw.
Yeah, well, we did speak about it. Something of a bogey team for City, Crystal Palace become, and it's holding its own there. That little streak. So, I mean, as Liverpool fans, we love to see it, but it's I think as the rest of the league would be quite interested in seeing it too. They'd be eager to see a good title race forming. Yeah, I mean, City had plenty of chances, just couldn't find the back of the net, and here we are. It's just about neck and neck. We're hitting home straight, and it's going to be interesting.
You'd have to look at City's recent run in terms of not winning games, either losing or drawing. Is really down to them just not being able to score. They're certainly not getting outplayed by anyone. They just can't seem to score. I don't know what's going on, what's happened, or whether teams have parking the bus that deep they can't break it down. But they've never seemed to have a problem before. So I don't know what's starting to change there for them, because they're not playing. Well, they're probably playing poorly by City standards, but anyone that would look at the stats would think, oh, they've well and truly deserved to win that game, but they just haven't.
Yeah, I suppose in the past years they've had guys like, they've had De Bruyne for many years now, and he's been the one lately that's been unlocking defenses. But looking a bit further back, you're probably looking at guys like David Silva. They've just had that complete dominance over the ball, and David Silva was to City what Thiago seems to be to Liverpool. Just that one guy that can pick defenses apart. He just unlocks everything. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything to do with City being poor in front of goal. I mean, yeah, they're still getting lots of chances, but it's just strange whether teams do look like they just have to sit back against City. And like you said, I mean, it's nothing new, but maybe they're just lacking. Kevin De Bruyne has been good without being great this season, in my opinion. Maybe that's what they're lacking. Yeah, but they've had a couple of games there where maybe they haven't. The goals that they've gotten haven't been clinical City goals. I don't think we've seen a real dominant performance from City where everyone's sat up and take notice and said, wow. It feels like it's been a bit of a just getting through the motions kind of City at the moment.
Do you think if they have a true number 9 in these games, some of them maybe go a little bit different? Because that's been the discussion since the season started when they didn't replace Aguero, is that can they do it with no number 9? And up until this point, they pretty much have.
I think it would be totally different. Yeah. We've spoken before in the past, if you Harry Kane in that team and just a pure, just out and out goal scorer, it'd do wonders for that team. It'd just change the whole dynamic there. And City tend to rely on goal scoring midfielders, I think, quite a bit. And they've never really had an out-and-out striker. Oh, since Aguero.
Mm.
They haven't really had one there past Aguero. And so now that's gone. That could be where they're finding that extra goal or two, or extra goal or two in some fixtures. They're having to grind out 1-0 wins. And like we see with Palace, a 0-0 draw. They can't find that last finishing edge.
So that draw at the time meant the gap was 4 points between Liverpool. The ball was in Liverpool's court, although their fixture was certainly not easy, coming against Arsenal, who were probably, I'd say, second to Liverpool, the informed team in the league at current point. But they got the job done. It was quite a good game, actually. I watched it, and it was quite an even game. 2-0 probably favours Liverpool a little bit, considering, I mean, I thought Arsenal were good. They matched Liverpool for the majority of the game. Just probably Liverpool's quality in different areas of the pitch is really what won them the game at the end of the game. At the end of the day, would you agree? Or
yeah, it loomed as a huge danger game for Liverpool. Arsenal and Liverpool both sitting on. I think Arsenal had won the last 5, Liverpool maybe the last 6 or more. They both had won at least their last 5. So the form teams of the league, without a doubt. And yeah, for the first half, you really couldn't split it. It was a bit of a stalemate. Arsenal played great. I mean, at the Emirates, they were probably not favourites, but they were definitely, you'd give them more than half a shot there. And it was, I mean, Liverpool almost found a way to throw it away, but if it wasn't for like you said, there's probably just a few stars on the pitch there that really got it done for Liverpool there. Alisson saving Thiago's bacon.
big time.
Yeah, and Thiago redeeming himself by that ball to Jota there, pretty much past 10 Arsenal players. Not directly, but he basically hit that from back of the field. They were sitting quite deep, and he put that through just about everyone there. And it was an inch perfect pass. But I think, yeah, in the end, it just come down to that quality. And even with a Firmino goal, a deft touch, for what it was a beauty of a goal. Just that nous in front of goal to know exactly just that perfect touch. That's what separated the two teams in the end. And I have no doubt that Arsenal will get there, but they're in the very early stages of creating a team that can really challenge.
I'd say they've definitely overachieved this season based off of what was expected of them at the start of the season. So that's a huge credit to them. I mean, I think that squad on the week, it wasn't on the weekend, but that squad against Liverpool was, I think, the youngest average age. I think it was like an average of 25 or something like that, which is just that's unheard of, really. Especially for a side that's in a top 4 position at the moment. So, yeah, look, huge credit to them. Probably their star player on the day for me was Martinelli. I mean, this kid. I mean, it's been known for quite some time now that he's quite special. But in this game against top quality opposition, he really put his name on the map. I think just that little bit more. I'm not sure if you saw his run, where I think he either megged Trent or megged Hendo, one of them. But he basically took out 3 or 4 Liverpool players before cutting the ball back, and I believe it was intercepted by Matip or something like that. But I mean, that nobody does that against a Liverpool side is basically what I'm trying to say. I mean, the kid's special.
Yeah, it's the kind of ingenuity that your standard player doesn't have. You don't get that kind of stuff from a normal run of the mill guy, a striker like Martinelli is. And yeah, he was electric. Klopp has spoken about him in quite glowing terms before. and you just wonder if he's trying to get in his ear for a possible poach. But I mean, you'd hope not, because you don't want to say those kind of things. But yeah, he was great, and he's absolutely the future of the attack of that club. I mean, they've brought in some pretty high profile signings in Lacazette and Pepe in recent years that haven't quite worked out. Lacazette to a certain degree. Pepe just hasn't worked out. No, but they want to cherish Martinelli and hold on to him, because he's going to be a big player in years to come for sure.
I think, that they've got really their core four, being Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, and Smith Rowe. If they can keep those four at the club, I know Saka's been rumoured to maybe go elsewhere. But if they can keep those four at the club, they can really build quite a lethal forward. All they need is a striker. I mean, Lacazette's doing the job at the moment, but he won't be there forever. Obviously, they missed out on Vlahovic. He would have been ideal, but they're going to have to look somewhere else. So, I mean, it's quite a scary front four with those four involved. And every time Martinelli got the ball, he looked dangerous. He was willing to go one-on-one with Trent, who is known for maybe not being the best defensively, although Klopp well and truly squashed that. He was quite some comments were said there, and he wasn't too happy about Trent's defensive prowess. But I mean, they're really a couple of key signings away from contending again, Arsenal. If they do make top four, that'd be huge for them. And that would go a long way to attract a couple of big names into the club, which is what they need to make that next step.
Yeah, the spine of the Arsenal team. Just go straight from the bat. You got Ramsdale, who's got his best years are ahead of him. Ben White, he's settled in there, I think, a fair bit better. He was a bit rough at the start. He looks a bit better now, and this whole spine's got time to grow. I mean, they're going to grow together if they can keep these guys together. Odegaard, as you spoke about, I think it feels like he's been around for so long.
It does.
He
because
should
he
be
burst
about
onto
30,
the scene when he was 16 years old.
Yeah. It feels like he should be about 30, but no, I think he's only into his early 20s, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. Maybe 22 or 23 max.
I would have said that too, yeah. And Martinelli, of course, yeah. He's just going to be a star. Put Saka and Smith Rowe around him. That four can just flourish together, grow together. They could be a pretty scary proposition in years to come.
For sure. Speaking of the top four, just quickly, really the only other main fixture that has happened since was Tottenham and West Ham. Tottenham ended up coming out on top. Is that almost say goodbye to West Ham's top four chances, would you say? Or am I maybe taking a step too far there?
Nah, I think you're correct there. Tottenham have found something of a bit of form. I think they're finding enough form to kind of quash West Ham's chances. We've seen Arsenal, they've really taken a huge leap of advantage over both of those teams. And to say, I mean, Tottenham's chances aren't great either. I mean, given Arsenal's advantage there, I think West Ham are just that next step below, and they're going to find it really hard. They're really not stringing wins together like they were early in the season, and they needed to keep that form to have any chance of hitting the top four. And they're the games they need to challenge in and at least take points from. So I think you're correct in saying you might have to. Their fans are probably going to have to be settling for Europa League this season.
I mean, to back our statement, they're sitting 7th at the moment with 30 games played, which I think is all the possible games they could have played so far. And they're on 48 points. Arsenal in 4th, 54 points, having played 2 less games than them. So there's a lot of ground to be made just to even, get to the same points as Arsenal. And that's meaning Arsenal lose every other game or the next 4 games, basically. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I've basically pushed them out of that battle. In the actual Europa League, they're doing great, to be honest. They're absolutely killing it. And I think that's probably where their focus will lie now. Because they are, like we've just said, they're pretty much out of the race. So if they can win Europa League, that's their key into the Champions League anyway. So that becomes their main focus now. It has to be.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And pretty sure they dispatched of Sevilla in their last tie. So that's huge. I mean, they are European specialists. They're as hard nailed as they come to being a quality European team. Not quite in the Champions League echelon at the moment, but the Europa League, that's their bread and butter. Yeah. So that's huge to stamp that kind of European pedigree into a team like West Ham, who haven't quite been there the last few years, but have been there or thereabouts. It's really good to see. But I think they'd be hard pressed to get past Barcelona at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're not used to seeing Barcelona in that caliber of competition in Europe anyway. So, yeah, I don't see many teams getting past them, to be honest.
No, given their exploits at the start of the season, it's quite a surprise to see how Xavi's turned that team around. Couple of cheap signings, couple of handy signings, especially Aubameyang, who's just absolutely hit the ground running. It's he's really transformed the team's chances there, and I mean, just emphasised by a 4-0 thrashing of Madrid in the El Clasico was pretty amazing.
That made for fruitful viewing for Barcelona fans. I don't think many would have expected that, to be honest. No. Not at the Bernabeu. But it shows how far Xavi has brought that team. So, what would have been if he was there at the start of the season? They might still be in the Champions League. So,
yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, and like you said, Barcelona they're not a team you associate with the Europa League. So, I mean, no doubt they'll find their way back into the Champions League given their league standing. I mean, they're about 10 points, I think, behind Madrid, but they don't need to win the league, I think. Given the turmoil at the start of the year, it was never on the cards. So as long as they can get themselves back up into a position where they can be playing Champions League next year, they'll be okay.
For sure. We digress. We'll come back to Europe. We'll get there towards the end of the episode. Just on the relegation battle, which we touch on every week as well. Really only the one, but it was quite a big one. Everton and Newcastle. Last week on the podcast, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out first, because we're talking about a lot of stuff that we've talked about before. So make sure you're checking these out first. But I basically labeled this as a must win for Everton. I think it was the Newcastle game. And off the top of my head, I think it was maybe the Burnley game. They were the 2 must-win games for Everton based on their next run of fixtures after that, if they wanted to survive, basically. And they got the job done. Certainly wasn't pretty. There was a fair bit of action in this game, which we'll touch on for different reasons, but it was more of a snatch and grab, I'd say, from Everton's standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't watch it live, but I remember checking the score right at the end. I'm thinking, what is going on here? I mean, there was a lot going on at that game. And I saw plus 15 stoppage time. What has happened here? But when I saw I think it was the 98th minute winner there from Iwobi, I just thought, I had no idea what was going on, but yeah, absolute snatch and grab. It wasn't a great game. Given the the quality of the game. It just wasn't really there. But look, it's entertaining nonetheless to see a stoppage time winner, especially in such a game that has such high stakes for both clubs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've mentioned that Newcastle are probably safe, or just a couple wins off being safe anyway. So I don't think this damages them too much. But for Everton, it honestly couldn't have been a better result. They bridged the gap to 3 points from Watford. So, yeah, I mean, like we said, it's a snatch and grab from our standpoint. I'm sure Everton fans would disagree. They probably thought there was more in the game for them, but look, they'll take the win, and they've got to move on. They're not safe. Certainly not safe. This is just one step towards safety. I mean, we said about 35 points is roughly where they'd probably need to be. They're still 10 points away from that milestone. So, yeah, they're certainly not safe. But we'll have to wait and see. There's plenty of games to come. Their fixtures aren't easy. That's what really worries me about Everton, is that their fixtures aren't easy. So I think they've got Brentford in there, and I think Burnley. They might be the only two teams that are up outside of the top 10. So that's makes for scary viewing if you're an Everton fan.
Yeah, I mean, fixtures like this are must wins, and Everton to this point, if we're looking from last week, they've done everything that they can up to this point to give themselves a chance. I mean, yeah, it's snatch and grab, but at this point of the season, I mean, hark back to the days of Stoke City where they just put everyone behind the ball and just loop the ball up. It was just, you play your long ball. I mean, you do what you need to do at the end of the day to survive. And I mean, Everton, looking at their squad, should be better than that. But at this point in the proceedings, you're not there to play beautiful football. You're there to play football that keeps you in the Premier League, and then you rebuild the next season. So, well, not rebuild, but have another go, reset. That's probably the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That run of fixtures is awful. So 3 points, very handy at this point.
That's pretty much all we've got, really, in terms of Premier League. It's the international break currently, so no Premier League for a few weeks. So really, we've got a bit of a break. I hate these times. I'm not a fan of the international breaks. You just, especially at this pointy end of the season, it's too exciting. You want more. Instead, we're getting less, which is not fun. So to close it off, we'll just touch on two cup competitions. We'll get to the Champions League, but the FA Cup, round of 16 was played since we last was on the podcast as well. So we've got our quarterfinal teams. It's Chelsea and Crystal Palace, and Manchester City will play Liverpool in the other semi-final. This is an early bump in the road for Liverpool's quadruple chances. Obviously, if the fixtures were around the other way, you'd probably expect to see City and Liverpool maybe in the final. It's not going to be the case. One of them is going to have to go in this round. So we could see right here the quadruple chances disappear for Liverpool.
Yeah, it's not the ideal draw. It's a shame because you'd love to see those two teams in the final. They're clearly the best teams in England at the moment. So yeah, it sucks. But I mean, to be the best, you got to beat the best. So Liverpool will have to get through if they want to win the cup. Well, if they win this tie, then they've got the best chance of winning the cup. These two are the best teams in England. They'll go in favourites if they win this. I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to win it. By no means. I mean, we've seen a lot stranger things have happened. But yeah, it's a shame because you'd love this to be the centerpiece of the FA Cup of such a storied competition.
So if you have to pick a final, who makes it to the final? Who's it going to be?
I think this is where Liverpool's quadruple chances are ended.
Okay.
I think it's City, Chelsea. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly have no reason why I think that. I just think that this is where Liverpool slip up. It'd be a little bump in the road. I think they'll be fine in the Champions League. That'll be fine. And who knows? We could see a City Liverpool final there too.
Definitely
good. There's plenty of bridge to go of water to go under that bridge. Sorry. In terms of seeing more City Liverpool fixtures, but the heart wants Liverpool, the head says City, unfortunately.
Okay.
I expect Chelsea to get over Palace quite convincingly.
Oh yeah, I agree there. Chelsea will. I can't see Palace beating Chelsea. It'd be great if they did. Nice to see something different, but no, I don't think so. But I'm going Liverpool. I'm backing the boys.
Good.
Maybe going a little bit with the heart there, but yeah, no, like within reason. Like you could honestly toss a coin, and it'll go either way. I suppose you could look at it in both sense that the competition for both teams at the moment is not the most important on the table. Certainly looking towards the Premier League and most definitely the Champions League. So this is just another one in the way. Which is why I kind of see Liverpool maybe going a little under strength. Maybe. There's no such thing as under strength for City because they can bench half of their first team players and it's essentially still
the same.
Exactly. So, but I'll back Liverpool and it'll be a Liverpool Chelsea final, the same as the Carabao Cup, and we'll get the same result. Liverpool will win it. That'll be 2 from 4.
Even in penalties? Are they going to go to penalties again?
It'll go to penalties again. Kepa will not be on the pitch. I can guarantee that. Yeah, I can guarantee he won't be on the pitch in that case. So,
but
yeah,
I think they would have learnt their lesson if they do get to that stage. They couldn't do it again.
You wouldn't think so. I'll be very surprised if he does it again. And I don't think Kepa would get a very nice reception onto the pitch if he did that again.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to a strength and depth. Obviously, Liverpool and City have bigger fish to fry, like you said. Yeah. This is they're both in 3 competitions here, and this is third priority without a doubt. There's probably differing priorities between the league and the Champions League, given that City have never won the Champions League, and it's their one trophy that they're yet to the major trophy that they're yet to win under Pep and altogether. But I think Liverpool would be looking at the league as their main focus, personally. Liverpool have been there and done that with the Champions League. It's not to say that they're not prioritizing it. Obviously, that if really they should be giving them equal favoritism. But I think if you had to pick one, I think Liverpool really want number 20 to put them back at the perch with as Sir Alex Ferguson said, knock them off their perch. They want to be right back there alongside United on number 20. So, but yeah, I think strength in depth is going to count here, and City have it in abundance. Liverpool aren't lacking anymore. Well, that was the one argument for them. Can they win on multiple fronts? We've seen they can. They did it through the Carabao. I mean, it's a different beast, but they've got the strength there, and I think it's just the pessimist in me, the glass half empty, that says to me that Liverpool, there's too much competition, there's too many teams, too many good teams there. They can't do the quadruple, and this is the one they drop.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree there. I agree there. It's certainly a third favorite, like you said. They'd be putting equal attention into both the Champions League and the Premier League for me. It's interesting you mentioned City prioritizing probably the Champions League more, and I'd probably actually tend to agree because, like you said, Pep's won the Champions League with every team he's been at, but it's the one trophy that's eluded City, and that's the one that he obviously really wants. He's won it three or 4 times now with City. The Premier League, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't need to win it again to prove anything over there. If he wins the Champions League with City, then you go, okay, then he wins them their first Champions League sort of thing. So let's go there. We've got the two semi-final berths are already set. It'll be, you've got Group 1, Benfica and Liverpool, and then Villarreal and Bayern, and then your second group is Man City and Atletico and Chelsea and Real Madrid. So we'll stay on City because we're there. Do you see him getting past Atletico, or because Atletico has been pretty good in the Champions League, to be honest?
Yeah, they have. That ultra defensive, strong style. City, as we spoke before, that they've been able to break teams down. They've always had the keys to unlock tight defenses, but Atletico is a different beast in that regard. They play physical, they play tough football. Something that English teams should be used to. It's quite often said that English football is quite brutal, but yeah, it's not a draw that they would have wanted, in my opinion. I think they would have rather have gone toe to toe with another attacking team like a Madrid or a City. A Madrid or a Chelsea. I think they would have much rather that. I see them getting it done though, City. I think they have too much just talent. They have too much pure attacking talent, and I mean they're no slouches behind the ball either.
Yeah, I agree. Like Atletico are good, but they have been quite underwhelming this season, especially in the league. And they kind of really only scraped past United in the previous round, which we know where they're at the moment. So, and they're coming across the crosstown neighbours who are the polar opposite to them. So, yeah, I can see it. I can see them getting the job done, but it won't be easy as these games at these pointy end of the competitions, they're not supposed to be easy. So, but I can see them getting it done. To Chelsea and Real Madrid, this is a repeat of the semi-final from last year. Chelsea got the job done there. Do you see it going the same way?
I would have said no if before the weekend. That's I don't know if you can read too much into that. I'm not sure if that's more Barcelona just being completely dominant against Madrid, but I don't think Chelsea have been all that great either. There's a lot of question marks. Obviously, administratively over Chelsea, maybe not so much on the pitch, but it's a tough one. It's a really tough one between those two. Chelsea have never lost to Madrid. It's a weird stat.
That's an interesting stat. Yeah.
Yeah, they've never lost. I mean, albeit I thought they would have played more, but they've only played, from what I read, 5 games against each other. They've never lost. I think it's 3 wins and a draw, and 2 draws, sorry, for Chelsea there. But I think I'd back in. I think I'd back in Chelsea though. I think I would.
Okay.
I can't tell you why, but yeah, I just they a depth again. I think they've got a lot of options to call on, especially in attack. So I think they'd get it done.
I'm back in Real Madrid.
Mm.
I'm thinking they get the redemption from the semi last year. And I mean, we're talking Real Madrid. You never chalk off Madrid. I mean, they're just a different beast. They're
Yeah.
from the defense through to the midfield to the attack. It's just nuts. And I mean, they beat Liverpool quite comfortably last year as well. And then they're accustomed to versing English teams in the Champions League and beating them. So yeah, I'm going Real Madrid. Plus all this extra bullshit with Chelsea is just it's getting a little bit too much for them, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's all coming to a boiling point, and it's going to make football a tough focus for them, I think.
Yeah. I think at some point it's all gonna be too much for them. The outside noises have got to affect the game at some point, and a game against Real Madrid with distractions like that, it's got to hurt. It's not hurt, but it's got to affect you 100%. So yeah, for me, it's a 50-50 game, but yeah, I completely agree with your thinking there. And you've got Benzema, who's in unreal form. Yeah, the form of his career at the age of 34. So, you with saying that, how could you put it past them?
For sure. Our other semi-final group is Benfica and Liverpool and Villarreal and Bayern. I've got written on my notes here that it seems to be a pretty easy Liverpool-Bayern semi-final that's to come. Do you see it going that simple? I mean, on paper, they've got the easiest teams that are remaining. But I mean, we're talking Villarreal, who have just knocked out Juventus quite comfortably. And even Benfica, who knocked out Ajax, who in the group stage were probably looking like one of the favourites.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I dare say a lot of Juventus fans were thinking, oh, it's Villarreal. Here we go. We should be good. And they're gone. We're not even speaking about them now. So yeah, you got to be careful with these kind of draws. You don't want to. I highly doubt Liverpool will approach it with any sense of it being a foregone conclusion. But it is a risk with these kind of teams. Benfica are no slouches, and neither are Villarreal. But still, I just think the quality's there for Liverpool and Bayern. The Bayern defense has been suspect at times, so I wonder. Villarreal did have 2 penalties against Juventus in that second leg to get them through. But I mean, to get those opportunities, you've got to be there or thereabouts in creating looks and chances. And a suspect defense is who's to say something along the lines of that can't happen again. If they can get some time in their attacking zone, then there's every chance that Villarreal could pull off another upset.
For sure. I mean, if you say a Bayern with a dodgy back line, let's say Villarreal scores 2, Bayern's quality is just too much. Lewandowski will just go and score 3 by himself. Like, yeah, I mean, you're talking about probably one of the best strikers in the world at the moment. He's just, you can't stop the guy. And you know, that's really the difference maker for me. You know, call it an underdog story for Villarreal, but there's just far too much quality in that Bayern side. Same goes for Benfica. I'm sure Benfica is not going to be an easy place to visit for Liverpool. But they'll get the job done. I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an ideal draw for Liverpool. They definitely wouldn't have wanted to come up against. I feel like they'd much prefer going up against Bayern than City or Madrid or Chelsea for that matter in the final if they do so get there. But from a purely Liverpool point of view, they'll take it. They'll go on, and I mean, I see them making the final.
Okay,
it's an ideal draw. Yeah.
So to close it off, do you see it being an all English final again, It'd be three, the
Sure.
third time in 4 years.
Yep, I think so. I think we get another iteration of Liverpool City.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be good to
Definitely.
finally see that in a Champions League final.
Oh,
We've seen it
it
in the
would.
Champions League before,
Yeah.
but not in the Champions
Mm.
League final.
Oh, it'd be an absolute belter. It would. The games between Liverpool and City are always such high quality, intense games. So to see that for a trophy, it would just be it'd be next level. I'd be shitting myself, but yeah, I would be. I'd still be very keen to see a game like that.
It'd make for some serious viewing. I mean, I know many labelled Liverpool Tottenham final as probably one of the more boring finals.
Oh yeah.
I
don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't give a crap. I don't know if the same sort of thing was said about Chelsea and City, but if we do see a City Liverpool final, it'll be the furthest thing from boring in that game. You've got two of the best attacking teams in the world going at each other's necks for 90 minutes, potentially 120. It'd probably be one of the games of the year, games of the century, games of ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's 100%, and it's the blossoming rivalry of the Premier League now. The two teams are going to be at the top for the next 5, maybe more years. Even once Klopp leaves, Liverpool will still be there or thereabouts. They're going to be there for so long. It's just going to be another chapter. I say going to, like it's going to happen, but if it does happen, it will be the next of just a huge number of chapters in that story.
For sure, mate. That's all we've got time for today. A little bit of a different concept today. Like I said, not a lot of Premier League, and next week will probably be somewhere around the same due to the number of lack of Premier League, we'll say. But as always, thanks for tuning in and listening. Make sure you're following all of our social medias, subscribing to the channel, following us on our Twitters and our Facebooks, so you're keeping up to date with all the latest content. Taylor, as always, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you all next week.